On this episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone, we're going to talk about Tuesday wrestling with AEW Dark and Impact Wrestling. So, let's get started with another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, this is J-Rod here for Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things pro wrestling such as AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact, many promotions, wrestling matches, championships, everything else. So before I start with reviewing AEW Dark and Impact Wrestling, so I want to give you guys an announcement. Now, if you guys follow New Japan Pro Wrestling, just let you guys know they started doing some empty arena shows, and I haven't seen it yet, but there has been a situation where they're having like certain things to be paid or whatever it is. I don't know exactly. If you guys having problems with it, try to see if there's any way to resolve it. As you all know, I actually use Nico's the New Japan Demand password and all that because I even gave him mine with the Fi on demand. So that's pretty much it. But pretty much it. New Japan has already had some matches. They're about to start the first round with the New Japan Cup, which was postponed a couple months ago, but now they're on track. But the real question is right now, how much far they have to change, because they normally have everything planned out within a year in advance. So we'll just wait to see. But I will do an episode starting with that. So let's get started with AEW Dark. Alright, so hope everybody's having a great time. As you all know, this episode of AEW Dark was very stacked, 11 matches, um, about over an hour and a half of playtime you can see on YouTube. So practically that's what happened. So we're going to go from match to match. As you know, most of these matches are more squash matches, because more of the unknown wrestlers versus the wrestlers we know now in AEW. But there are some wrestlers we have seen on certain times. But right now, let's just go with it. First match was a was a six-man tag team match with Capital Vice and John Cruz versus the Jurassic Express. This one was a very interesting match. Now, as you all know from the beginning, Jurassic Express has been the fan favorite for many times over, ever since they started. I know they started winlessly, but later they've been involved. Jungle Boy has been well recognized. But this tag team match right here was one of the most interesting matches to see, because you see now Jurassic Experience are being more cohesive than ever. With Marco Stunt's speed, um, Jungle Boy's agility, and Luchasaurus like big size but can do flips that no other person can do. I'm like impressed what they do in the ring with this. The combination moves, all of that. But the best part is when what was it? The way Marco Stunt's throwing himself doing a tope suicida on both Capital Vice so they can make the pin on John Cruz. That was a great match. I enjoyed it. And for once, we hope we get to see a trios championship. They said they talked about that, but I can't wait to see it. The next match was a tag team match with Brandon Cutler and Peter Avalon again, teaming up to face SCU's the well-known tag team Daniels and Kazarian. Now, we all can talk about Kazarian and Daniels, their history. They've been one of the most dominant tag teams in the past, as much as they've been single competitors. But yeah, and I enjoyed every moment of what they have done for this. But much of this has been more like Peter Avalon and Brandon Cutler haven't gotten long due to the fact that Brandon Cutler likes to gloat, telling Cutler how much he's a loser, that he has to win. Even Brandon does the same thing, like he tells him back, and that kind of became like more of their signature montage on that. The more it was becoming more like Brandon Cutler always in this match stayed by the rules, but not Peter Avalon. But in the result of that, SU picked up the victory. But later on, they actually Cutler and Avalon actually already sever all ties. They were never much a cohesive unit, so they're done. They're no longer a tag team. Next match, we got a women's tag team match. We had Danny Jordan, the Mean Girl, versus Big Swole, and this was a very interesting match. You know, we haven't seen Big Swole for months because of the situation with the COVID-19, but she's continuing to impress us. I know down the line we can see her get a championship match down the line. I can't wait to see that. So she really impresses me a lot what she can do, and she picked up the victory on this one. So I don't know. I forgot how much the ranking is, but I'll look it up. Next match, well, it's David Ali versus Lance Archer, but we'll just skip ahead. The winner, Lance Archer's. Everybody must die. Next match, this one was a tag team match. We had Musa teaming with the captain, Sean Dean, versus two Jersey boys, Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss. Now, this has been one of those tag teams that now been formulated and they're currently undefeated, and that's something that Excalibur made an excellent point. Even though they haven't been good solid as a singles competitor, but they have done great momentum as a tag team. As you recall, AEW are taking the tag team division a priority outside of WWE. They have made that remark that they are the best tag team they have the best tag team division. But Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss continue to impress me. Even though they have something in common, they're from Jersey, and I would love to see more of them. And they should have a wrestling name. But if you guys have any ideas, leave a comment down below, and hopefully I can tell that to Joey and Sonny Kiss, see what they think. So they picked up the victory on this one. Next one is a women's tag team match. Now this one was a very unusual team up. Brandy Rhodes teaming with Allie. Now, we all know the history between both Brandy and Allie, but this match was set up by QT Marshall. This was like the most interesting story. It's still unclear what is Allie's angle towards QT Marshall. Now, Dustin Rhodes is not angry with QT. They're just wondering what the hell is going on. What is Allie's play in this? Even though they picked up the victory, it's still unclear what is going on. And that's just one of those stories that kind of like gets you like confused, but at the same time it gets interesting. We don't know what Allie is up to. We don't know what's her end game. So basically, Allie picked up the victory. She made it look like she's the one who took the heavy lifting. But yeah, next match we had Lee Johnson versus Shawn Spears. Now, this particular match was interesting because Shawn Spears is wearing this black glove that kind of opened him up to be a different type of person. I don't know exactly what they were trying to do, but it became more like it gave him the power to become more vicious than ever. And as I skip ahead on this one, Spears picked up the victory. The next match was the return of the Dark Order's first two members, Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. Now, we haven't seen these guys since the start of the COVID-19 virus, and reason behind that was because they were stuck in Canada. Yes, they're Canadian. They couldn't cross the border. So they came out along with 10 and 5, along with Silver and Reynolds, as we know them, 3 and 4. So it's still unclear, but they would continue to show their tag team techniques, their maneuvers. They were facing against Brandon Pierce and John Skyler. Just to give you an update on this, it appears that John Skyler injured himself during the match. He's going to be out of action for a while. But this match was kind of interesting because we know that by default, uh, Grayson and Uno are currently in the top rankings. They didn't have to do anything, they were stuck in Canada. So they do have a top five ranking for the AEW tag team titles. Now, we may never know when that happened, but we do know it can happen. So, while they picked up the victory, here comes the exalted one, Mr. Brody Lee, impressed that Evil Uno and Stu Grayson picked up the victory for the name of the Dark Order. So, that's how it ended. Next match we had Griffin Garrison versus Jimmy Havoc. And if you guys must know, I'm going to skip ahead on this one. Havoc win, and then we had Skylar Moore versus Penelope Ford. This one showed more about Penelope Ford, what she can do as a women's wrestler. We have seen her been involved with Kip Sabian as a manager or valet, however you want to call it, but we never get to see Penelope Ford do a lot of the in-ring work. We know that she has done it, and we're starting to see more of her. And I have to say that she's currently in the top 5 ranks. I think she's number 5. But her biggest upset was last Wednesday against Hikaru Shida in that tag team match with Nyla Rose when they faced Chris Statlander and Hikaru Shida. Just to give you guys another update, Chris Statlander has also been placed on injury. She's going to have surgery in one of her in her injury. I forgot what it was. So she's going to be out of action for quite a while. Then we get to the main event with Robert Anthony versus Scorpio Sky. This one was kind of interesting because we can say that Scorpio Sky is a great competitor as a singles competitor, even though he and Kazarian won the tag team titles because Daniels was there. But we can't see Sky as a singles competitor representing SCU. So that is something we can see. He was great in this match, with every move spot that he was able to do. But of course, Sky picked up the victory. I would love to see him maybe one day getting a title shot for the AEW World Title. So I have to say this Dark was good. Between the scales of 1 to 10, I give it a 9. So basically, it was all right, or should I say 8? Nah, who cares? Maybe 8 or 9. But I like it. It was pretty good. I like the matches. I hope there'll be good matches the following week. So I think that's it for now. So let's move on with Impact Wrestling. Alright, so Impact Wrestling was interesting. So, as you all know, it started out with the whole thing with the recap when Deonna Puzzarro, the virtuosa, made her appearance, made a statement against Jordynne Grace, who wants a title shot. So basically, that's what's been happening. So Deonna Puzzarro's her appearance has finally changed. So that's how it happened. First match of the night was for the Impact Tag Team Championship between the Rascal, Wentz and Dents versus the North. It was a good match. I'm not gonna lie. I as you all know, I've been a fan of the tag teams for a long time, dating back to the Legion of Doom, Road Warrior, Hawk and Animal, the Hardys. I can name a few, but we like the Bucks, the Lucha Brothers. Any tag team that gets in your mind. But it was a good match. The Rascals were determined to become tag team champions, but of course, in the course of this whole time, the North were far more superior. They are currently the longest reigning Impact World Tag Team Champions. So we don't know who will be the ones to dethrone them. So that's the pretty common knowledge. Now, post match, what happened for a second week in a row? no, third week in a row or so. Well, second time in a row for Trey, he was attacked again. Still unclear who. Wentz and Dent are now pissed, knowing that Trey was attacked. It's still unclear who. But much of the match has been turned around, and that's always been like that. The story, the actual headline for this one, for me, it was more like, "Who attacked Trey?" And there's mostly some suspects, but we'll get to bits and pieces. Now, the next interview they put in with Ace Austin. Now, as you all know, Ace Austin is suspect number one. We all know that Ace Austin will do whatever it takes to become champion. But there was an outstanding rivalry between both Trey and Austin last year when Austin was the X Division champion. And of course, he was messing around with Trey's mom. If it is her mom, I'm not sure. But yeah, so it's still unclear. And Austin said he had nothing to do with it. So that's pretty much the headline for that. Even Eddie Edwards doesn't believe his crap. He knows he had something to do because Eddie Edwards knows Ace Austin too well. Ace Austin did the same thing to him last year too when he was trying to mess around with his wife, Alicia. So later became for the main event a street fight between Ace Austin and Eddie Edwards. Then we go to a match between Kimberly versus Nevaeh. Now Kimberly, I think, is still beside herself that she got herself taken out by Havoc and Nevaeh. But this one was pretty much the debut match of Nevaeh since we have seen her make appearances during Havoc's matches. It's still unclear what was going on, but now it appears they're now becoming a much solid tag team. Now, do I think that they will bring out the Knockouts Tag Team Championship? I don't know, because right now we do see the WWE Women's Tag Team as in a stalemate. They're not legitimizing enough the way it should have been from the beginning. But if Impact can do it, we know to do it. We know AEW can do it too, but they're not having that discussion yet. We know they could, but we just wait and see. So Nevaeh won, and throughout the entire time, you had Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz getting in their nerves, and they ran because they're scared of Havoc, what she's capable of. But don't ever get in their faces ever again. That's my opinion. So then we had a little what happened now, a post match for the North. Now what happened is the North was not too pleased that no one was there to cheer them. Reason is everybody were actually watching the early matches of Ken Shamrock when he was they were upset that no one is taking them seriously. The thing is this, they haven't been around these couple of months. They've been in Canada. Why would they cheer for them? And practically they just broke one of the staff's iPads because he felt it was disrespectful. But we'll see what happens. Then we had Crazy Steve, who had enough of cancel culture getting in his face. Now, Joseph Ryan has been getting into Crazy Steve's face because he finds the name Crazy offensive. I mean, how is that offensive? And they try to cancel him, but Crazy Steve said he has a crew that's coming to help him. It's still unclear who. I mean, as you all know, Crazy Steve was part of that group with Rosemary and Abyss. I don't know who will be that person, but it will be interesting. Then we had Rohit Raju versus Rhino. As you all know, Rohit has been on a rampage, feeling like it's his time, but he got in the face of Rhino, and Rhino gored him and picked up the victory. And that kind of shows a lesson to Rohit Raju that don't ever mess with someone like him. Then we had a little Jimmy Jacobs is still on the hunt or on the case, try to find out who attacked Trey. Now, if you all recall 2 weeks ago, I did stated that one of my top suspects could be either Moose or Michael Elgin. Michael Elgin had No intentions. But we do know recently he has been contacting with a benefactor out of Canada. So it's still unclear who is this guy. But he did state it. He had nothing to do with it. And the next thing we see Susie, she was talking to Kylie Ray saying that maybe being a good person is not good for her. But Taya Valkyrie is trying to antagonize her to bring out Su Young. And Kylie Ray has been trying to maintain that goodness of Susie to stay and telling her Taya is bad. So basically, she's trying to antagonize her. And there's an old saying: "Be careful what you wish for, Taya. If you decide to bring back the undead bride, good luck." Then we had the so-called TNA World Heavyweight Championship match between Hernandez and Moose. Now, I'm just gonna skip ahead. Moose won, but the biggest shocker is what happened. As soon as Moose won, someone played the theme song of EC3. If you all recall, EC3 was a TNA World Champion. Now, is this a sign that EC3 may come to Impact? You may never know. Impact has always been the promotion that gave him the elevation that he needed, unlike WWE. Twice they've been screwed. But I would love to see EC3 come out, beat up Moose, tell him he's not the TNA champion because A, doesn't mean nothing anymore, and B, stand in the back of the line with him for the Impact World Championship. That's how I see it. Let's see where we're at. As you all know, the Rascals continue the hunt. Who attacked Trey? So they got into the face of Reno Scum. Now, there is no secrets that Reno Scum and Ace Austin have been associates for a time, and they claim they haven't been paid in months by Ace Austin. But he did stated they did decide to point a different direction for them, saying that Fahabal and TJP were upset that they lost to them. So they kind of decided, okay, let's go this way. So it's still unclear who is attacking him. It's kind of like the whole episode has been like that the entire time. Then we had the Deaners hanging out, saying they can't wait to hang out with Willie Mack. Willie Mack acting like he thinks he's one of the Deaners, or using the southern accent. That kind of was pretty interesting, and he of course acted like Stone Cold, impersonated Stone Cold, which was pretty hilarious, I might add. So basically, he and the Deaners are setting up in a 6-man tag team against Chris Bay and of course Johnny Swinger. So there's that. Then we had a match between Reno Scum and Triple XL. This one was a very interesting match because we do know that Reno Scum and Triple XL are trying to find a way to elevate themselves to become #1 contenders for the Impact World Tag Team Championships. Do I think either one? I say either one could be the one, but of course there has to be a winner. Reno Scum picked up the victory. We don't know if they will get a tag team title shot, but we'll see how it goes. Then Swinger and Chris Bay actually were discussing about what the Deaners and Willie Mack said. So Johnny Swinger said that he knows someone who can help. So basically, he made a few phone calls to find the third person. So there's that. Then they have a little video package where they say, "Who is Deonna Puzzarro?" That kind of became an interesting vignette where we're trying to understand who she is. And they showed some old clips of her when she was in Impact, prior before Ring of Honor, prior before WWE. I thought it was pretty good. So there's that. And then as soon as that happened, there was an interview with Jordynne Grace saying that she's willing to give her a title shot. All she had to do was ask. And then out of nowhere, she attacked her. Deonna Puzzarro attacked Jordynne Grace again, trying to break her arm off. Then we get into the main event, the street fight match between Ace Austin and Eddie Edwards. Now, this match was a setup because Eddie Edwards believed that it was Ace Austin that took out Trey. So, Practically, that's what it was. This match was great. A great street fight match. I enjoyed it. But that's when now it started to become clear. What happened is Eddie Edwards had this match right in his pocket. Here comes Madman Fulton. Now, Madison Rain kind of made an excellent point. Who could have been the one to attack Trey? There's only one monster, and that man was Madman Fulton. He showed up and helped Trey out. So does this mean that Ace Austin truly was the mastermind behind it, or Fulton attacked him to please Ace Austin? It's still unclear. We don't know what their friendship is all about and all this and that. So it's becoming unclear what's going on between those two. We don't know what arrangements they had beyond that. But I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen the following week. So I think that's pretty much it right now for. Well, wait a minute. Before this ended, again, they're throwing that little vignette about the wrestlers that were released from WWE. We do know maybe it's a possibility EC3 can be there. But they did show Mike Bennett and the Good Brothers being there. We don't know when that will happen, but hopefully we can see it soon. And it could happen on Slammiversary, so we gotta stand by for that. So I think that's pretty much it for now. So stay tuned for the next episode where I talk about New Japan, review some of their newer matches without the audience, and give you guys what I think about the whole event. So I must bid all of you adieu. Stay safe. Goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.